Well, the Albanese government, the government of Australia, has been conned by a bunch of Hollywood hucksters. They've been scammed by Netflix. They've gone to 2 elections promising local content production quotas, and they've got nothing. How can it be? Well, we've got Rex Patrick coming shortly with some FOIs which show the power of lobbying. But the streamers, Amazon Prime, Netflix, stands not too bad on the local content, but there are no regulations. This is an unregulated wilderness with these guys making absolutely fat profits out of Australians, millions of Australians, paying no tax and using the NBN, the $50 billion investment by us, using that free. Imagine Coles and Woolies. Imagine what their profits would be if they didn't have to have trucks to distribute their content. Well, Netflix has the trucks, which is the NBN, which we have funded, and they still pay no tax. We've been through their accounts a number of times, and it's Hollywood accounting, and we know how they gouge us. The ATO's done nothing about it with all the streamers. And so we have it that there is a complete failure which endangers actually Australian culture, because do we want our children to grow up with American accents? If there's no local content, no local TV and film content, that will mean that will be completely Americanised. I mean, think of these shows, like Blueies and Home and Away and Neighbours and these kind of things, which have gone out to millions worldwide, local shows. Now, personally, I've never seen any of them, but the numbers are there. And it's not just that we make revenue from selling this product offshore from our very good yet shrinking TV and film production sector. It's not just that, it's the soft power. People look at these shows and they want to come down and visit whatever street it was in Melbourne where these things were shot. They just want to come and see Australia as a result of identifying with these characters on these shows. It is a no-brainer. Why does the government do nothing about it? 2 elections, rolled gold, firm handshake promises. They have gone promising these quotas. Tony Burke is the minister. He's got a bit on his plate, Tony, so this isn't going to be, well, it's certainly not his swan song, that's for sure, but it could be. And it's a no-brainer, putting money into this thing. The biggest production, post-production house in Australia just collapsed earlier this year. 500 people losing their jobs. Queensland, Victoria, Sydney, just collapsed. This thing is shrinking. In Spain, they got $1 billion out of Netflix. In France, they got 25% local content quotas. Now, being Aussie, we speak English, so the Americans just think, oh, well, don't worry, we'll just shove this American trash down their throats. That's what it's all about. Other countries are doing deals, and Australia is not doing any deals. Now, how hard can it be to man up, force these guys to pay tax, and force them, as has been promised to the electorate twice, to do something? I've been in touch with a guy called Simon Nash, who's a veteran TV film producer guy. And he speaks for the rest of the industry when he's saying it really is endangered. People are fleeing this industry because of lack of policy, the government's inability to do what it said it was going to do. So it's not even the fact that they haven't done it, it's the fact that there's uncertainty around it. So how do you build a career when you're watching your own industry collapse? These guys are just huge freeloaders. Now, according to Simon Nash, he got some FOIs back. He did a piece basically slamming the government for its inaction on this issue. Dishonest, discredited and dumb, said Simon. How the tech bros bluffed Labor and killed Australian stories on our screens. So he got a dump of FOI documents, and basically he's gone through and sort of exposed some of the lies and the misdirections of the largely US-owned streaming platforms, scaring the Labor government from doing what it said was going to do, from delivering on its promise of local screen content quotas. Says Nash, Labor went to the 2022 election promising to enforce Australian content on the streamers. Nothing happened. They then promised to have the quotas in place by July 1 last year. Nothing happened. Labor reiterated its commitment before the 2025 election. Well, you know what happened? Nada. That's 4 years of broken promises. And meanwhile, thousands of jobs have disappeared from the screen industry. That's careers ruined and lives broken. Yes, there's a survey coming out soon. We're going to publish the results of that. Big industry survey. It's very sad what is going on. And it's not as if they can't do anything about it. And they said they would do something about it. As they said with sports bet reforms, gambling ads and so on. It's just a testament, all this feeble policy enforcement. It's a testament to the power of lobbying and money in politics. Absolute fail. According to Nash, the documents show how Labor buckled to an intense lobbying campaign from the streamers who claimed they were profoundly disappointed by the quota plans and annoyed that their feedback had been ignored. The lobby duplicitously claimed the quotas would reduce the viewing options for Australian subscribers while threatening the sustainability of the industry. In other words, they've done a Trump. They've just flat out lied. They've done a Netanyahu. They've said exactly the opposite of what is actually true. Says Nash. Pretty breathtaking stuff coming just days after the news that Netflix reported revenue of $1.2 billion in Australia in 2023-2024. Yet somehow it was unprofitable and paid zero tax. How you can not make a profit when you don't have a cost base? It's basically just using the NBN. Maybe a head office with the company's secretary and some directors based in Mountain View, California. We'll have another look at the latest Netflix accounts just to ram this home. And it's not just Netflix, it's all of them, all the streamers, Disney and so on. According to Nash, sure know a thing or two about how to sustain a business. Tax avoidance being the number one priority. Priority 2, leech off the public asset in the NBN. Priority 3, hire an army of lobbyists to maintain the status quo. Priority 4, invite Arts Minister Tony Burke to your local office opening and claim with a straight face to be 100% behind Australian production, then wave goodbye to your entire local commissioning team. In the meantime, streamers, Stan being an honourable exception, went on strike and vastly cut back on local commissions. Yeah, punishing us for trying to do the right thing. With the broadcast industry in free fall and cinemas barely breathing, Australia's screen industry has become little more than a backlot for Hollywood studios, keen to avoid employing their own unionised labour. Enter Donald Trump and his threats to place a 100% tariff on foreign films, whatever that means, and Labor keen to avoid riling the red-topped wacko any further, leaving Australian screen stories as collateral damage in a trade war and keeping the AUKUS submarine deal alive. But, of course, Labor clearly doesn't have the spine for a fight, despite mouthing deceitful platitudes about its commitment to Australian culture. It has no real intention of delivering on its promises and has conceded to the streamers. It's waved the red flag. Now, this is one. It's Australian content. It provides jobs. Instead, the only thing really, the way it's been going is that American producers are being subsidised through the tax system, through tax breaks, to come down here and shoot movies, and they think that's good enough. This goes to the gutting of Australian culture, the Australian identity, and it is a no-brainer politically. You upset a couple of Netflix investors and management, they could really go hard on this, the Albanese government. They could really man up and go, we are going to put 25% quotas in and force these guys to spend money in Australia on the content of Australian stories for Australian audiences and elsewhere before it's too late. I personally know heaps of people in this industry. They've been shooting commercials for years, but even that's endangered now. It's just a no-brainer to project Australian culture in the world, to get tourism down here and to get money in the door from successful shows. Anyway, we'll keep you updated on that. Coming is Rex's FOI expose and the reasons, the actual particular reasons why this has happened. And we thank our silver sponsors, Optical Warehouse and Island Optical. They've helped us pay for journalists to produce content for the website, which we then disseminate, we distribute over all the platforms, including YouTube. So we thank Island Optical and Optical Warehouse for their support as a silver sponsor of the West Report. Please like, share and comment in the section below. We'd love your feedback on this because we think we should get a movement going. This is such a no-brainer as a policy measure. Put a rocket under the government to do something, because they've done less than former arts minister in the coalition for the industry, George Brandis. They've done less than George Brandis. Thanks for your support.